Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Tonight, we are starting off with a story from Russia. What is the secret behind the Russian plane that got downed near Ukraine? It was a Russian military aircraft. It had 74 people on board, including 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war, or POWs. Curiously enough, the plane crashed near the Russia-Ukraine border, killing everyone on board. And immediately after the crash, Russia accused Ukraine of downing that jet. Meanwhile, the president of Ukraine, who neither confirmed nor denied the accusation, has accused Moscow of playing with lives. So what really happened to that plane? How does a giant 100-ton cargo plane just crash out of the sky? How did it crash just 20 miles from the border with Ukraine? And if Moscow is right, why would Ukraine kill its own people? The mysterious Russian plane crash has raised big questions, but here's what we know so far. The aircraft was an Ilyushin IL-76. It is a large military transport plane designed to carry troops, cargo, or weapons. Now, Russia says that beside the 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war, there were 6 Russian crew members, 3 Russian soldiers on board. The plane crashed in a huge fireball, killing all 74 people on board. The Ukrainian military intelligence has said that it had no reliable information about who was aboard the crashed plane. Where exactly did the crash happen? Well, the plane crashed just northeast of Belgorod, close to the border with Ukraine. The Belgorod region has been the target of frequent cross-border attacks by Ukraine. But this, if the toll is confirmed, would be by far the deadliest single incident of its kind to take place inside Russian territory in the 2-year-old war. And what do we know about the prisoner exchange? Russia's defense ministry has said that the prisoners of war exchange was due to take place at the Kolotilovka checkpoint. It is located at the border between Russia and Ukraine. Russian MOD is saying that the plane that was shot down had been flying from the Chaklovsky Air Base near Moscow to Belgorod. That's where it crashed. Now, what this means essentially is that the jet would have been in the final stage of its flight. And Kiev, on its part, has stopped short of acknowledging that it fired at the plane. The Ukrainian military, in fact, confirmed that a swap was planned for Wednesday and that it had met all the terms for it. Kiev says Russia had neither informed them about the means of transport for the prisoners of war nor the route that they would take. It said that unlike in previous exchanges, Ukraine had not been asked to guarantee the security of airspace at any specific time. In fact, a Russian lawmaker has said that no Russian fighter jets were escorting this particular plane. And why is that? Because the flight had been agreed with the Ukrainians in advance. And Russia says that a second IL-76 transport plane carrying around 80 more Ukrainian soldiers had managed to turn around. So then what or who caused that crash? And remember, this is not the first time that both sides have swapped prisoners, of course. Several such exchanges have taken place in the past. As we mentioned before, Russia has accused Ukraine of shooting down the plane. Russian radar had reportedly detected the launch of 2 missiles from Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Earlier, the Russian lawmaker and former general Andrei Katapolov had spoken of 3 missiles. He said that they were either the American Patriot missiles or the German-made IRSTs. He said the investigators would determine exactly what kind of missiles were used when they recovered fragments from the crash site. And on the other side, Ukrainian military intelligence did not confirm hand in the alleged shooting down of the plane. Instead, they countered Russia's accusation, saying that it could be, quote-unquote, a planned action to destabilize the situation in Ukraine and weaken the international support for the state. President Zelensky called for full clarity on the circumstances of the crash. Listen in for yourself.
Факти – це головне.
It is evident that the Russians are playing with the lives of Ukrainian prisoners, with the feelings of their families and with the emotions of our society. It is necessary to establish all clear facts to the extent possible, considering that the plane crash occurred on Russian territory, beyond our control.
He said we must wait for the facts to be established. He said he has coordinated the government departments to look into the various aspects of the crash, something made difficult by the fact that it did occur on Russian soil after all. Nevertheless, Zelensky's statement leads us to one question. If not Kiev, then who attacked the aircraft? Hours after the plane crashed, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called it a terrorist attack.
On the morning of January 24, Moscow time, a terrorist attack was committed, as a result of which, in the area of the Belgorod region, a Russian transport aircraft Il-76 was shot down, which was carrying out a flight to transport 65 military personnel of the armed forces of Ukraine from the Moscow region to Belgorod, who were accompanied by 3 Russian officers and a crew of 6 people. They all died.
Now, even as Russia and Ukraine trade barbs, there are details that just do not add up. Just look at the footage of the crash. It looks like it was in one piece before it was brought down. If missiles had struck the plane, it would certainly not have been in one piece. Further, some experts have asked, was the plane even carrying the prisoners of war? Reports point out how the crash site did not show a lot of bodies. And here's the kicker. According to reports, the list of prisoners that the Russians claimed were on the plane include names of prisoners of war already exchanged by Russia. But then one cannot rule out Ukraine's role as well. Shortly after the plane crashed, 2 Ukrainian news outlets, Ukrainska Pravda and RBC Ukraine, said that the military had downed the plane, citing anonymous sources, the report claiming that the plane was carrying Russia's S-300 missiles. Of course, we cannot independently verify those claims and counterclaims. The 2 Ukrainian news outlets also took down those reports. But what this does show is that Kiev could very well be responsible for the crash, perhaps. And that should not surprise anyone. It certainly does not surprise us. You see, Ukraine's Kharkiv is heavily defended. It's a heavily defended region. And why should it not be? Kiev's Western allies have sent some of their most formidable air defense systems, including one of the Air Force's 3 batteries of American-made Patriot missiles. Last year in May, in fact, a Patriot battery shot down Russia's Su-35 fighter jet. This was over Bryansk, located 70 miles from the Ukrainian border. And then in December, Ukraine downed 3 Russian Su-34s over Russia-occupied southern Ukraine. And last week itself, Ukrainian air defenses shot down one of Russia's most coveted Berev A-50 radar early warning planes over the Sea of Azov. What exactly happened on the 24th of January? Only time and an independent body-led investigation will reveal. Whether or not that happens, we will have to wait and watch. Earlier this week, the Ram Temple in Ayodhya opened its doors, and since then, hundreds of thousands of devotees have been rushing to Ayodhya. And they are offering a lot more than prayers. They are making generous donations. And those who are not able to make it to the holy city are sending money online. The figure, in fact, is running in crores. The first day after the consecration ceremony, the Ram Temple received over 3 crore and 17 lakh rupees in donations. That is more than $381,000. All of this came online. For in-person donations, the Ayodhya Shri Ram Mandir Trust has opened 10 donation counters. The money collected through the week will be counted every Monday. If everyday numbers are in crores, one can only imagine what they will add up to in a week's time. And it's not just cash. Treasures have been flooding into Ayodhya in all forms. A diamond trader's family from the state of Gujarat has donated 101 kg of gold. It will be used to gild the doors and pillars of the temple, also in the sanctum sectorium. Another diamond trader has donated a crown for Lord Ram's idol. It is valued at 11 crore rupees or $1.3 million. The crown weighs 6 kilograms and is adorned with gold, diamonds and precious gemstones. Other special gifts included an 108-foot-long incense stick, a 2,001-kilogram bell, a giant lamp weighing over 1,000 kgs, gold footwear, a 10-foot-high lock and key, a clock that simultaneously tells the time in 8 countries. Even 2 special brooms made of gold and silver. The list runs long. I could just keep going on. But the question here is, where is all this treasure actually being stored? Is there a secret vault or something similar? Well, let's just look at how other Indian temples store their riches. The Tirupati Balaji temple in Andhra Pradesh's Tirumala is one of the richest temples in India. As much as $6 million being donated to the temple each day. And then there is gold. And apart from that, devotees also donate their hair. This practice is known as moku. It is another source of money. The temple organization sells this hair at public auctions to bidders from around the world. This hair is used in the cosmetic sector, and the sale of the hair reportedly boosts the temple's coffers by millions of dollars. So where is all this money kept? The governing body of the ancient temple says it lies in banks in the form of fixed deposits. It is 10.3 tons of gold deposits, also kept in nationalized banks. As for the Padmanabhasi temple in Kerala, it is set to hold its treasures in mystery vaults. But lore says this treasure should be left alone because it is said to be bound by an ancient curse. You see, the temple has 6 underground vaults. They were discovered by archaeologists in the year 2001. The vaults hold treasure from gold coins to antique jewelry, from sacks of diamonds to ropes of gold. While all the vaults were thoroughly explored, the riches were accounted for, one chamber was left alone. The secret chamber was hidden under Vault B. It is believed to be made of thick walls of gold, which have serpents carved on them. The officials were never given permission to open it because it is feared that the vault has been sealed through special rituals and opening it can lead to a curse. That is how the story goes. As for Ayodhya, we don't know if there will be a vault or a strong room. The donations that have come online are safe in banks. And as for the treasures, we will have to wait for the temple committee to release the details. In just a few months from now, the world's largest democracy will be celebrating the great festival of democracy. India will be holding its general election, expected to be held over several weeks, between April to May. Over 600 million people are expected to cast their vote to choose the next Prime Minister of the country. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi sounded the poll bugle for his party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, in Bulandshahr, a small city in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Meanwhile, India's opposition is in a state of disarray, and this begs the question. Is India's general election over before it has even begun? Now, earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi gave a rousing speech in Bulandshahr. There, he kicked off his campaign for a rare third term as Prime Minister. He inaugurated developmental projects worth 19,100 crore rupees. And addressing the people, the Prime Minister said that he only sounds the bugle of development. It is the people who sound the poll bugle for him. Now, the Bulandshahr rally marks the Prime Minister's first public appearance in Uttar Pradesh since the monumental inauguration of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. His party launched a new campaign, in fact, named Modi Ko Chunte Hai, translation being voting for Modi, let's vote for Modi. The BJP has left no stone unturned. It has engaged in fortnight-long public contact drives in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And the aim here is essentially to mobilize the masses, energize the party supporters for the impending contest. The political stakes are high. The BJP hopes to build on its success from last year's polls. It aims to reclaim the seats lost to the opposition in the last general elections, in fact. Meanwhile, the opposition is, as I mentioned earlier, in a state of disarray. The young opposition bloc, called INDIA, is yet to enter the battlefield. Forget about entering the election amphitheatre. The opposition is in a rather precarious position. Let me just explain how and why. The alliance stands for Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance. It is a big tent alliance of as many as 28 political parties. It is led by the grand old Indian party, the Indian National Congress. It was formed with the sole objective of taking on the BJP. Some of the most prominent players in regional politics joined hands with the Congress to come together for the same cause, and yet today that bloc is in pieces. The Aam Aadmi Party in the state of Punjab and the Trinamool Congress in West Bengal decided against fighting the election together, and this is significant. These are key players after all, and they are popular parties in their regions. The fact that the Aam Aadmi Party and the TMC have decided to fight solo comes as a huge blow to the Congress and the hopes of beating Prime Minister Modi-led BJP. The Chief Minister of Punjab, Bhagwant Singh Mann, said in a press conference that the Aam Aadmi Party will win all 13 seats in Punjab on its own. He assured that his party has nothing to do with the Congress. As per reports, there are differences between the allies, the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress over seat sharing. Similarly, in the case of West Bengal, the Chief Minister and the TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee attributed the decision to go solo on the failed seat-sharing discussion with the Congress. And this is a setback for the Congress. If losing Aam Aadmi Party and the TMC was not enough, the Chief Minister of Bihar, Nitish Kumar, also seemed to be on his way out of that big alliance. He has decided not to join the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi in his mega rally, the Bharat Jodo Nyay Yatra. And with this, Nitish Kumar has given a subtle message. All is not well within the bloc. You see, Nitish Kumar is one of the architects of this bloc, and his party, the Janata Dal United, is an ally of Lalu Yadav's Rashtriya Janata Dal, RJD. They are the ones ruling the Bihar government currently. Kumar broke ties with Prime Minister Modi's party back in 2022, and he did that to form the government with allies RJD and the Congress. And just 2 days ago, he made a remark about dynasty politics. He said that some people are promoting only family members and making them leaders. And this was seen as an attack on the Congress party. It also fits in with Prime Minister Modi's jibes at the Congress. In fact, just today, Prime Minister Modi in a campaign video asked young voters to defeat dynastic parties. Nitish Kumar's decision to snub Rahul Gandhi, plus his comment against Dynas, fueling speculation. Will he return to the BJP? That's the question being asked. And this is why I asked right in the beginning, is India's general election over before it has even started? It certainly looks like it. Where is the opposition? Who will take on Prime Minister Modi? The Congress has announced its candidate for Prime Minister. It is Mallikarjun Kharge, the leader of the Aam Aadmi Party and the Chief Minister of New Delhi. Arvind Kejriwal is still seriously underweight. As for the others, they only have one goal, that's ensuring their safe seats. Perhaps the opposition alliance needs a reminder. As the saying goes, one loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives. So really, who can take on Prime Minister Narendra Modi? Can the opposition script a vision that counters the Prime Minister's? Will a single leader emerge to take on Prime Minister Modi's juggernaut? Recent polls, in fact, saying that around 14% see Congress's Rahul Gandhi as the next Prime Minister. But 37% also believe that his lengthy Bharat Jodo Yatra, the protest march that created a lot of buzz, would not help to win the elections. But even as he heads into his 10th year, Prime Minister Modi's performance found favour with 67% of the people. They say that they are satisfied with Prime Minister Modi's performance. And so I ask that question once again, this time to the opposition in India. Is India's general election over before it has even begun? And our next story is about Mohammad Muizzu, the president of the Maldives. Now, his troubles just do not seem to end. After facing criticism for his anti-India pivot, he is now facing dissent back home. In fact, the lawmakers of the Maldives have risen in revolt against the leader. They belong to major opposition parties there in the country, the Maldivian Democratic Party and the Democrats. They have called out Muizzu's anti-India pivot. In fact, in a joint statement, they have said that this shift in foreign policy could be extremely detrimental to the country's long-term development. And you see, the timing of this move is extremely significant. It comes a day after the Maldivian government said that a Chinese ship equipped to carry research and surveys will be docking at a Maldivian port for replenishment. 24 hours after the Malay government gave this permission, the two opposition parties condemned the decision. And here's what they said in a joint statement. Let me quote. The current administration appears to be making a stark pivot towards an anti-India stance. Both the MDP and the Democrats believe alienating any development partner, and especially the country's most long-standing ally, will be extremely detrimental to the long-term development of the country. And that's not even all. The statement further said that Muizzu should keep the interests of the Maldivian people in mind before the interests of others, knowing that the country is a democracy where governments come and go. I'm quoting again. Consecutive governments of the country must be able to work with all development partners for the benefit of the people of the Maldives, as the Maldives has traditionally done. Stability and security in the Indian Ocean is vital to the stability and security of the Maldives. Which ministers were behind the statement? There were many, but the names of a few stand out here. The MDP chairperson and former minister, Fayaz Ismail. The Deputy Speaker of the Maldivian Parliament, Ahmad Salim, Democrats Party President Hassan Latif, and the Parliamentary Group Leader Ali Azam. They all held a joint press conference, in fact, to flag the issues. They said their parties are committed to work together on several governance-related issues like the dramatic shift in foreign policy and the lack of transparency. And interestingly, the MPs of the two parties together hold 55 seats in the 87-member House. And this has led to speculation if these parties will move a no-confidence motion against Muizzu. Yes, there are reports that these leaders may try to impeach Muizzu. In fact, some of them have already expressed their intent to do so. Just have a look at the tweet coming up on your screen. It's from the Parliamentary Group Leader Ali Azam. On the 9th of January, he asked his fellow lawmakers if they are willing to take necessary steps to remove Muizzu from power. He asked them if they were prepared to initiate a vote of no confidence. But on what basis will they do that is the question. On the government's foreign policy stance, is it? Something that is within the ambit of their powers? Well, not really. They also plan to accuse the government of lack of transparency in the financial status of the government, and also the lack of transparency in the MOUs and agreements that the government is signing, especially with foreign parties, although no country was named in the statement. So will the Maldives' anti-India president be impeached? Now, given how he is facing dissent at home, he might just. Of all the world's nations, Saudi Arabia has become the land of surprises under the leadership of a modern reformer, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Step by step, he has changed the landscape and the society. Given women rights they had never had, he's making the country into a tourist destination and an international sports hub. In fact, he has allowed women to drive, also opened the country for non-religious tourism and concerts. And now the Crown Prince is setting up a liquor store. MBS, as he is popularly called, has laid the foundations of what could be the world's most modern city, Neom. Neom is a new urban area in Saudi Arabia's northwestern Tabuk province. It is a futuristic region powered by 100% renewable energy. The Crown Prince's latest decision will surprise many and shock conservatives in this most conservative of countries. Saudi Arabia is set to open its first alcohol shop. Alcohol, as is well known, is forbidden in Islam, but nearly every Muslim country has found ways and means to enable non-Muslims to drink and perhaps looked the other way if Muslims broke their law. Let me just tell you all about what is going on in Saudi Arabia. The first shop does not, I repeat, does not mean that there is a license to drink for all. Absolutely not. It is meant only for diplomats. And why is that? Because according to the existing rules, the permission given to diplomats to import alcohol had become a means for rampant alcohol smuggling. So the shop comes with conditions and strict rules. The new store will be located in Riyadh Diplomatic Quarter. This is a neighborhood where embassies and diplomats reside. The clientele will be limited. The liquor store will only be open to non-Muslim diplomatic staff. No walk-ins will be allowed. You need prior registration to become a customer. Envoys and their foreign staff would need to register and get clearance by the government before they can buy their favorite tipple. No one under 21 will be allowed in the store, and proper attire would be required at all times. Also, no proxies would be allowed. This means a diplomat cannot send a member of the staff, a driver, say, or assistant to get the liquor. Every buyer would have a monthly cap of 240 alcohol points. And how exactly would this point system work? 1 litre of spirits will be worth 6 points. 1 litre of wine will make up for 3 points, and 1 litre of beer, 1 point. And what is the reason behind this big move? Why is Saudi Arabia taking a decision that will send tremors through its conservatives? Well, going by what the government is saying, officially the new regulations aim to counter the illicit import of alcohol received by diplomatic missions. For years, diplomats have been importing alcohol in sealed official packages, and these packages are protected by international protocol. A host country cannot tamper with them or seek to find out what is inside. So all that lay hidden inside was beyond the reach of the Saudi Arabian authorities. Saudi Arabia's Center of International Communication says it wants to ensure diplomats have access to alcohol in specified quotas. But some observers say that there is more to this than meets the eye. You see, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has ambitious plans for his kingdom, and one of them is to make Saudi Arabia a hub for business and tourism. For those who imbibe, a holiday is dry without some spirited refreshment. Critics say that this might be the beginning of more relaxation. Tourists in adjoining countries like the UAE, with Dubai as its tourist magnet, or even Bahrain, or even Qatar, do not have a problem finding a drink. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia wants to build a post-oil economy in Saudi Arabia, and this includes developing local industries and logistics hubs, and adding hundreds of thousands of jobs for Saudi nationals. Could the reforms go further? It is the 25th of January. In just hours from now, India will be celebrating its 75th Republic Day. And guess who is in New Delhi to witness the Republic Day parade as the chief guest? Emmanuel Macron, the President of France. He arrived in Jaipur this afternoon to a grand welcome and joined the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a tour of heritage sites in the city. He is being accompanied by a high-level delegation, which includes the French Foreign Minister, Stéphane Séjourné, and the Armed Forces Minister, Sébastien Lecornu. This visit is very significant. It highlights the growing bilateral ties between India and France. And what's even more striking here is the fact that this is the 6th time a French leader will be the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations. The 6th time. That's more than the leaders of any other country. And this only essentially underlines the significance that India attaches to this strategic partnership with France, a partnership that remains unmarred by any sticking points. So what lies ahead for the partnership? What is on Macron's agenda for this visit? Well, he is expected to hold in-depth talks with the Indian Prime Minister on furthering bilateral cooperation, also finalizing new initiatives in a variety of key areas. According to reports, the talks will cover defense cooperation, collaborating in the vast Indo-Pacific region, charting the course to respond to the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, poverty eradication, and strengthening business ties. Interestingly, Macron is visiting India at a time when the Indian government is looking to buy 26 Rafale M fighter jets from France. India wants to acquire them for its Navy's first indigenous aircraft carrier, the 45,000-ton INS Vikrant. And that's not all. India is also planning to build 3 more Scorpion-class submarines. These submarines will apparently be built with technology from France, and the aim is to enhance the Indian Navy's undersea capabilities. Reports say these 2 deals are estimated to have a combined value of $10 billion. $10 billion. And besides this, Macron's visit will also consolidate the ambitious renewal of the France-India strategic partnership, a deal which the 2 leaders had decided on in Paris in July last year under the Horizon 2047 roadmap. This is what a statement from the French embassy said about the plan. Let me quote. 25 years after the launch of their strategic partnership, France and India have embarked on new common goals for the next 25 years. Accordingly, President Macron's talks with Prime Minister Modi will seek to advance our cooperation and finalize new initiatives under the 3 pillars of the roadmap. Now, according to reports, the visit will also stress on France's commitment to creating more opportunities for Indian students, artists, investors, tourists. Macron's plan is to give special focus to initiatives fostering student mobility, and this will be in line with his announcement that France seeks to welcome 30,000 Indian students by 2030. So, from defense cooperation to collaboration in the Indo-Pacific to strengthening business ties and facilitating people-to-people ties, Macron's agenda for this visit is wide and diverse, and we will be keeping a track of all the key takeaways and announcements. For now, all eyes are on the Republic Day parade, where the two leaders will stand shoulder to shoulder as a testament of the Indo-France friendship. Let's now talk about a breakthrough that could possibly save a critically endangered subspecies from extinction. For those who might not be aware, critically endangered species is an endangered species that faces an extremely high risk of extinction in wild habitats. Now let me ask you this. Have you heard of the northern white rhinos? And in case you have not, we've got you covered. So here's a quick backgrounder. The white rhinoceros includes two subspecies, the northern white rhino and the southern white rhino. The southern white rhinos are comparatively more abundant. The year 2018, in fact, marked the death of the last male northern white rhino. He was 45 years old. And now only two female members remain, and they are both incapable of natural reproduction. They are under 24-hour protection in Kenya. Like I said, this subspecies is critically endangered. And why am I telling you all of this? Because there might be a way to save them from the brink of extinction. How exactly? Through IVF, in vitro fertilization. An international team of researchers has carried out the first successful embryo transfers in southern white rhinos. You know what that means? The same process could be used for the northern white rhinos. First, what exactly did this technique involve? How did they manage to pull this off? And what does this mean? Basically, a southern white rhino embryo was made in a lab. It was then transferred into a southern white rhino surrogate mother. The surrogate is now 70 days pregnant with a well-developed embryo. The successful embryo transfer, also the pregnancy, these are huge breakthroughs. There is hope that the same technique could be used for the northern white rhinos, so that the subspecies could be saved from going extinct. It's been called a milestone. Northern white rhinos used to be found in several countries in East as well as Central Africa, and their population severely got impacted and their numbers dwindled drastically because of poaching for their horns. But now, this latest breakthrough has triggered hope and could help save them. There is reason for optimism, and we will be closely following the developments. Early bird catches the worm. Work your finger to the bone. If you snooze, you lose. You might have heard these idioms over and over, especially in today's hustle culture. In this hyper-competitive world, we are often told that the prize goes to the fastest. But you know what? The opposite is just as important. Slow and steady can also win the race. You do not need to grind hard all the time, and a good manager knows that. They know when and how to help their employees to slow down. It's quite similar to the mantra that every race car driver follows, in fact. That is, if you want to win, tapping the brakes at the right time is just as important as pushing the pedal, because it is after hitting the brakes that an employee can see the bigger picture. You know, they get to know where to focus their efforts and solve big and small issues. So when exactly should a smart boss ask their employees to slow down? Research has found multiple such occasions. Let me tell you all about a few of them. Number one being when employees have to make irreversible big decisions. In fact, according to Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, making a decision is like choosing a door. And there can be two types of them, one-way and two-way. One-way doors are consequential and irreversible. Once you walk through them, there is no going back, whether you like the outcome or you don't. In contrast, two-way doors require less consideration because they are changeable, reversible. They allow you to push the handle and go back again. So when faced with a one-way door, a good manager should slow down, reflect, and make a decision. And they should let their employees do the same. Number two, when solving complicated problems. Rushing through such issues only makes them worse. But slowing down and taking your time improves accuracy and prevents premature and flawed conclusions. Number three, when doing creative work. As they say, there is no quick and easy path to creativity. In fact, psychologists also claim that if you want to kill creativity, insist that people must spend as little time as possible on every task. So, for the managers who want creative juices to be flowing at the workplace, they must ask their employees to slow down. How do you like your tea? Well, I'm asking you this well past 9 p.m. on a Thursday night because a question this simple has created a storm in a teacup. The story begins in the research lab of an American scientist. This scientist's name is Michelle Frankel, and she claims to have found the recipe for a perfect cup of tea. Preheat your mug and choose a short and stout mug, she says. Less surface area keeps the tea hotter. Well, great tip. What's next? Time for the ingredients. Well, there is tea, obviously. Water, because how else do you brew the tea? Milk, if you like. Time for the next ingredient. Salt. This American scientist says the sodium ensures that the tea tastes less bitter. Now, the idea of salt in tea did not go down well with the British. The reaction online was as if the London Bridge had fallen or someone had spilled a hot cup of tea on their lap. How dare someone add salt to tea? In fact, one netizen said, Americans are the last people one should take tea recipes from. Another advised the scientist to leave tea alone and drink coffee instead. Someone else questioned, if the tea is really bitter, why not add sugar or sweetener instead? Seeing the British boil, the American embassy in London published this statement. I'm quoting from it. We want to ensure the good people of the UK that the unthinkable notion of adding salt to Britain's national drink is not official United States policy and will never be. Let us, united in our steeped solidarity, and show the world that when it comes to tea, we stand as one. The US Embassy will continue to make tea in the proper way by microwaving it. And the UK Cabinet Office was quick to react. I'm quoting again. We appreciate our special relationship. However, we must disagree wholeheartedly. Tea can only be made using a kettle. Well, we like where this tea party is going, and we need to spill some tea here. But who needs tips on how to brew tea from America or the UK? Some people won't like the taste of what I am about to say next. But tea was first brewed in China, not the Buckingham Palace. The drink only came to Britain in the 1600s. In 1658, an advertisement in a London paper, Mercurius Politicus, read, China drink called by the Chinese, by other nations, te, alias tea, was on sale at a coffee house. That's how it really started. You know, before the colonial masters conveniently laid their claim on tea, just like they did on the colonies that were forced to grow the leaves so that the people in London could sip the drink with cucumber sandwiches. And now the American and the British have joined hands to whitewash tea. Well, guess what? Long before this American scientist stumbled on her eureka moment, Indians and Tibetans were adding salt to their tea. Kashmiris have been drinking noon chai for generations. It is made using tea leaves, cardamom, baking soda, salt and milk. This tea is pink in color. It looks beautiful. It is served with local snacks like kulchas, shirmal. So the secret recipe to the perfect tea that this American scientist claims to have found has been in Kashmiri families for ages now. Also with the Bengalis, they often add rock salt and lemon to their tea, especially the post-lunch and early evening teas. Tibetans also like to add salt to their tea, also some yak butter. This may be hard for some people to digest, but there is no one way to make tea, just like there is no one kind of tea. There is black tea, white tea, green tea, yellow tea. It's a long list, of course. Who gets to decide how to brew the tea? Definitely not the British. In North Africa, in fact, tea is enjoyed with milk. In India, we like to add spice to our tea sometimes. We sometimes also add sugar and milk. In Egypt, the tea is not strained. In Southeast Asia, tapioca is added to the tea. You have the beautiful bubble tea. People around the world have conversations over tea. The me time over tea is like some cucumber sandwich with tea. Some like a humble biscuit, savories, or a strong shisha. Tea is personal. Tea is also universal. It is everyone's and yet no one's, especially of the West to whitewash. In other news, a Japanese court has sentenced a 45-year-old man to death after convicting him of killing 36 people at the famed anime studio Kyoto Animation. The accused had allegedly set the studio ablaze in the year 2019. Our next report getting you the complete story.
A Japanese court sentenced a man to death on Thursday. He was convicted for the deadly 2019 arson attack at famed anime studio Kyoto Animation that killed 36 people and injured dozens. That's according to Japan's public broadcaster NHK. Shinji Aoba, now 45 years old, set the studio ablaze in 2019 by dousing the entrance area of the Kyoto-based studio, better known as KyoAni, with petrol, killing mostly young artists. He himself suffered heavy burns and underwent intensive treatment for nearly a year. Reports say Aoba held a grudge against the studio, known for the series Violet Evergarden. Aoba told police that he believed the studio had plagiarized his novel, an allegation KyoAni denies. Prosecutors had demanded the death penalty for Aoba, while local media say his defense sought a lighter sentence or to have him acquitted due to, quote, mental incompetence. The arson attack sent shockwaves not only through Japan, where violent crime is rare, but also through the studio's far-reaching overseas fan base and prompted condolences from world leaders.
On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off, leaving you with Gravitas images as always. Thanks very much for watching.
It's a ditch, then this. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA,